Welcome, whenever you might be watching this, to the year 2024 and the 20th anniversary of the Icebox Radio Theater. Now, over the past 2 decades in northern Minnesota, the IBRT has created over 350 plays in every conceivable genre. And as we start our 3rd decade, it seemed like a good time to take a moment and look back at the top 10 audio plays and series produced by the IBRT. But rather than attempting to rank all the different types of shows against each other, we're borrowing a format from Cineflix, one of my favorite YouTube channels, link in the description below, to take a broader look at the achievements this little troupe in the icebox of the nation has managed to complete in the last 20 years. Let's get started, shall we? We begin our countdown where most people who listen to audio drama began to build an interest in the art form, and that is the horror story. There's just something about sitting in the dark, listening to voices and chillingly rendered sounds in your own private ear that's so very, very memorable. And Icebox Radio has done its fair share of spooky stories over the years. From the chilling Ayla McIntosh narration of The Diary to the found footage creepiness of The Tiny Door, inspired, by an actual mystery door in our Bacchus studio. And don't forget the Northland Kaiju of The Gular, or the demons of, The Demon. Not to mention the claustrophobic, character-driven monster fest that is The Thing on the Ice, a play we will talk about later. IBRT horror is a rich vein to mine, but when it comes to answering the question, what's the scariest story we've ever done? I don't think the theater has ever twisted reality quite as effectively as Justin Kapla did, playing a man afraid that he might be a serial killer in the limited series The Smell of Pines, Darkly.
This is a long story. It's a story about my family and the things I feared within it. When we used to live down the road from Second Bridge, I feared my father and mother, and I tried to protect my little sister. I feared what would happen to her, and I feared what would happen to me.
A 4-part standalone series, Smell of Pines Darkly, is about Daniel, a 20-something call center worker, still living at home and subject to horrifying auditory hallucinations if he ventures too far into the woods without his trusty headphones. When the long blackouts and mysterious deaths start to pile up around him, Daniel must face the question of who might be responsible, even if it is himself.
I felt safe. I felt safe until I noticed the police tape across the door of the diner.
Yeah, I did know her.
Barb's granddaughter, I heard.
That's so. It's a shame. Things like this never used to happen in town. What's her name?
Beth. Pretty little thing.
Shame. I just hope they don't try to reopen the diner soon. They'll never get that blood out.
Oh, they will. But you're right. They really shouldn't open up too soon.
Waitress murdered like that in a restaurant. You'd stay closed for a month or 2 at least.
Oh, at least. Yeah, I wonder who did it.
Probably just some drifter going through town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Drifters, you can't trust them.
She was dead. They were talking about Beth, the girl that was nice to me. The girl from out of town, the girl trying to get away from something.
From one extreme to another now, if you're done screaming, we can move on to laughter. Comedy, to mutilate the old saying, is easy, but actually making it laugh out loud funny, well, that's damn near impossible. Not that we haven't tried. There was the comic book football silliness of Dome Dog and the SNL rip-offery of First Draft Playhouse, the elegant if off-kilter attempted farce that was QICE Radio North, and even an episode or two of QICE's love child Radio Icebox could inspire a chuckle or two. See the Season 1 Thanksgiving episode Not So Hungry Games to find out how much fun a reanimated turkey can be. And let's not forget the whole series Funny in a Small Town was supposed to be comedy. But the IBRT never got more laughs than that time we weren't even technically the IBRT. Karen Schickel, Dave Irwin, and myself traveled to Bemidji one fine February to contribute to a community radio program of the time called the Great Northern Radio Show, where we did a version of that most Northland of short pieces, the Customs Guard. And for the first time in a long time, the audience was there for us.
Have you found true love? What?
I'm just doing my job, ma'am.
You can't be serious.
It's a simple question.
It's a personal question, and you don't have the right to be
Patriot Act, ma'am.
Oh. Well,
I'm sorry.
fine.
I'm sorry if this line of questioning disturbs you.
Well, it does.
We are just attempting to learn a little something about individuals entering and leaving the United States,
But I live here.
as well as those individuals returning to the United States.
Fine. Now, what was the question?
Have you found true love?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you like pina coladas?
I guess.
And getting caught in the rain?
Not really, no.
Are you into yoga?
What?
I'm sorry I read the question wrong.
Good.
Are you not into yoga?
Oh, come on! Yes, I like making love at midnight on the dunes by the Cape. There, are you happy?
Very interesting. In every life, a little rain must fall. And for every comedy the IBRT produced, there were those plays designed to pull at the heartstrings. There was the year one broadcast milestone about life, death, and sandwiches, peanut butter and tofu on Jewish rye. And staying with theology as a theme, things seldom got deeper than the isolation and pain of a church sound tech in 3 funerals. And of course, the characters were never more real or more heartfelt than the coming-of-age drama, The Ambition Club. But if we're looking for that top tearjerker from our list, there's nothing that inspires the waterworks as well as sick pets and end-of-life decisions, and that can only mean the number 8 slot in our countdown goes to Custard's Last Stand.
Here you go, fatso.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, you startled me.
Sorry. What'd the vet say?
One of the few times the IBRT experimented with time-jumping narrative, Custard's Last Stand examines a brittle family's dynamic through the lens of a beloved family pet who's reached the end of the line.
Sorry.
As we go back over the family's troubled life, reliving event by event in which the titular Tabby always plays a part, we're confronted with the fragility of life, death, relationships, and the end of innocence, and more. All while Jerry, Mo, and their daughter Candace try to decide if an expensive veterinary procedure is worth it.
I have to talk to you about something. Both of you.
What's wrong?
It's the vets. He said the antibiotics aren't working.
Oh, well, wasn't there a surgery?
Yes, for $3,000.
Oh.
So, we can pay it, can't we?
Candy.
We have to, right? Custard is part of the family.
I know, but we're not gonna pay it.
Oh.
The vet said there really wasn't another option. He suggested we bring Custard home this weekend and say goodbye.
Oh.
So, can you see why I was so upset, honey? We got Custard when you were 4.
Really? I guess I was. Yeah.
And the vet said he'd make an appointment for Monday morning. But as long as he's not eating, there isn't much he can do. And he is 13, after all. That's a pretty good run for a cat. And he's not in any pain. He seems happy. He's just not keeping any food down.
Well, can't we at least wait and see what happens?
Candy, that's not a good idea.
Why not?
Because the mass they found isn't going to kill him. The vomiting is. He can't keep food down, honey. He'd starve to death, and that's a terrible way to go. Do you understand?
Of course I understand, Mom. I'm not a little kid.
I know.
Well, I'll be home around 5 on Sunday. I'll spend some time with him then.
What?
I gotta go. Where is Custard, by the way?
Candy?
Here he is. Crusty little boy. Not so little anymore. You hang on until Sunday, okay? I'll be back. Bye, Mom. Bye, Dad.
Be safe. Hey. Hey now. No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. This has been harder on you than anyone.
I'm sorry.
Mo, it's okay.
I don't know what to do with her.
It's all right. To be a theater is to create plays, but to be a theater troupe is to work together as a team. And in radio, that can be particularly tough if the scene has, say, 6 actors or more. So we thought it was appropriate to give the number 7 slot in our countdown to the ensemble show. The times when our group of actors work together particularly well, like the aforementioned Custard's Last Stand, or the 4 people trapped in a church basement of The Demon. Large stage shows deserve a mention, like Love Lines, a story about being stuck in line at customs for hours on end, or Williamson and Juliet, which recast Shakespeare's tale of doomed lovers around the founding of a national park. Even the wacky characters of the Lance Manley universe deserve a little love. But if you're looking for the best ensemble the IBRT ever put forward, you can't pass over our longest running series to date, Radio Icebox.
Okay, I see that. My car?
It's the only one big enough for all of us, and I want to stick together.
Me too.
Thank you.
Now, everyone has a bag, right? Like we agreed.
In the fictitious town of Icebox, Minnesota, population 1,001, all TV, internet, and cell phone reception was wiped out after a meteor strike in the 1970s. Now, the only entertainment and information available is the town's single low-power radio station run by our greatest ensemble. Ayla, Jeff, Justin, Vicky, Douglas, Tom, Jim, Hyrith, Karen, Scotta, Caleb, and more. They were all part of this expansive sci-fi comedy universe that at 3 seasons never seemed like quite enough.
Power down. Transmitter, computers, all of it. We really should take a sledgehammer to the whole lot, but I don't think I have the heart.
Go off the air during an emergency?
Yes.
Oh, it wets my eyes to hear you say it, son, but you're right. This is one time when radio isn't the solution. It's part of the problem.
There's another solution.
What?
One person stays, keeps the signal on the air, and makes sure it's our signal.
Sam said we can't keep anyone in town.
One body's not going to make that much of a difference. Besides, I can wait until the last person is gone, then make a run for it.
Wait, you?
You?
You, JJ?
Well, don't everyone act surprised.
Why the heck not?
JJ?
I know I'm not the bravest guy.
Nor the smartest. Why do you want to do this? It makes a lot more sense if Cody were to stay. He's the engineer. He could keep us on the air longer.
No.
Why?
I can keep us on the air. Cody showed me a reset procedure that seems to kick the hijackers off pretty consistently.
Is this a captain going down with his ship thing?
What if it is?
Oh, there are so many things wrong with that.
Look, I know that coward is kind of my go-to move for most things, but this is different. This is our signal. Can't have them hijacking our signal. Not again. Arriving at the halfway point of our countdown, it's time to talk about writing. But here's where the whole exercise gets very, very complicated. Because how can you compare and contrast different kinds of writing with the shows that writing created? Custard's Last Stand, 3 Funerals, and Smell of Pines Darkly have all been mentioned already, but does a work have to have dramatic quality for the writing to be taken seriously? What about the witty farce of the QICE episode Waiting for Ruddleman? Or the interweaving multiple plot structure of the Halloween special All Hallows Eve? And shouldn't Lance Manley's witty noir banter get a mention here? Well, it should, but that's not where we're going with this category. For our money, no IBRT script over the years was quite as artistically complete as The Ambition Club.
How about that refill?
Hold your horses. I'm brewing a fresh pot.
It was a Thursday afternoon in March. The snow
Every small-town coffee shop has those customers who seem permanently fused with a particular stool or booth, solving the problems of the world one complaint or sarcastic comment at a time. But what happens when a nervous, high-strung high school senior confuses one such group's facetious nickname, the titular Ambition Club, with an actual service organization and comes looking for a scholarship?
Hello, my name is Linnea McAllister Smith. Here's my card.
Howdy.
I'm a senior at Icebox High, and I'm here about the Ambition Club scholarship.
The what now?
Quiet, Walt. You say you're a senior, honey.
Yes, sir. I was homeschooled for the first 9 grades, then I went to IHS for the rest. I'm going to graduate at 16.
Wow, that's something. Weren't you 20 when you got your GED, PD?
Anyway, I'm applying for as many scholarships as I can since, well, I need the money for college. And a friend at school told me about the Ambition Club.
That's so.
Yes, sir. And as it's already March, I thought I'd expedite matters and come find you fine gentlemen for an application.
Honey, do you remember which friend it was told you we had a scholarship?
It was Brett Bradley.
Brett Bradley. I think that's Donnie's boy, ain't it?
If he's anything like Donnie, he'd pull something like this without blinking. Tell me something, honey.
Yes, sir?
Is this Brent kid known for pulling your leg?
Sir?
Playing pranks, stuff like that.
I really don't know. I don't actually talk to the other kids at school much. I'm there to learn.
Of course you are, hon. I'm afraid that boy was having a little joke, though.
I don't understand.
Well, we're what you call the Ambition Club, but we don't give scholarships.
They don't do anything but sit and waste oxygen.
You still here?
So I think that boy was just playing a joke.
Oh. The name is ironical.
Yeah, that's right.
What's what now?
I'm really sorry. I didn't know.
No, that's all right. I wish you real well and a lot of luck on that scholarship search.
Yeah.
So it was a joke? I'm really sorry, gentlemen. I regularly misunderstand when people are joking. I didn't mean to bother you.
Oh, no, honey, there's no reason to cry. Simmer down.
I'm not crying. I'm not. I have to go. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time.
What is wrong with you three?
What? What did we do?
You made that little girl cry, you big gorilla.
We start the second half of our countdown by paying tribute to the past. Icebox Radio has always been about original work, but a close second is our commitment to keeping the classics of old-time radio alive. We've downloaded and transcribed scripts from the golden age to bring a little life back to shows whose original creators have all but forgotten them. We've done detectives of many stripes, including San Francisco's beautiful Candy Matson and the man with the $1 million expense account, Johnny Dollar. We've slunk through the creaking door for episodes of Quiet Please and Suspense, and even, in one memorable failed attempt, The Strange Dr. Weird. There were even dips into the pool of classic literature with adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher and The Raven. But if we're looking at this category as a kind of time machine, nothing takes us back to the world of yesteryear like Justin Capla's pitch-perfect channeling of the great Sidney Greenstreet in The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe.
That you killed Townley with a bow and arrow, which you handle as well as your daughter, because he was about to tell me that you knew where the gun was, and that you were the likeliest murder suspect.
Oh, you must be mad.
No, sir, not I. But you are, and more than a little. You hated Willard Garth. It was you that was making the marriage impossible. You loathed him, and in the end you killed him.
How could I have killed him?
That was your little secret, Mr. Lawrence. The police found cigar ash in the dashboard tray of the death car. Chemical analysis showed that the ash was from an El Dorado cigar. What is it you have in your left hand, sir?
In my an El Dorado cigar. And in my right hand, a Derringer.
A powerful and admirable little weapon.
I suggest you show proper respect for it by dropping all this here and now.
You don't wish to hear me say the rest? That you are horribly in love with Diana, your own adopted daughter? In love and hopelessly, eternally frustrated, you would begrudge me the triumph of accusing you of having bribed Haynes to let you take his place in the driver's seat of the limousine, and further bribed and threatened him into putting on a show of merry pranks and false confessions to confuse us beyond measure?
You said I loved Diana. Would I do all this to her if I did?
Oh, but of course. A love like yours is really hate. You would have been content to see her dead rather than relinquish her, like all miserly, small-hearted men. You'd rather kill the girl you loved rather than muster the generosity necessary to see her attain happiness without you.
When differentiating between the different types of radio plays, it's important to remember that live theater, that is, a play performed in front of a live audience with only one chance to get it right, is a very different animal from the more relaxed setting of a recording studio. So for the number 4 slot in our countdown, we thought we'd focus on those live shows that have enlivened the IBRT's catalog. There was the sci-fi comedy of Have You Anything to Declare, the first show we ever did at the 1,100-seat Bacchus Auditorium, or our version of A Christmas Carol, performed year 1 at a local church. And who can forget our attempt to lure Twin Cities audiences into the Bryant Lake Bowl on a beautiful Sunday afternoon for the fall of the House of Usher. But if we're going to talk about live shows, we have to give the nod to a performance at the Pete Peterson Bandshell, a local landmark recently damaged by fire. There are a dozen or more plays to choose from, but few are as funny or as well performed or as eye falls as Love Lines.
There, we moved a foot.
Well, don't get too close to that couple in front of us. I don't think they're paying attention.
That's a couple?
Love Lines is the story of three couples trapped in line to go through U.S. Customs on a late summer afternoon. An experience, and we're not kidding about this, that could take several hours. There's a newlywed couple, a middle-aged pair, and a couple who celebrated their 50th anniversary several years earlier. And as the line slowly moves forward, they discover they're all connected somehow. All of this played on the bandshell stage.
Einer!
Huh?
Einer!
What's that?
Fella wants you to move forward.
What's that? Who does?
Fella behind us thinks you should move forward.
What are you talking about?
Land's sake, can't you hear anything?
Plenty of room ahead of me.
Switch the hearing aid on, Einer.
Oh.
Rick, hang on a second.
Love you so much.
Rick, I can't breathe.
Me neither. Isn't it great? Love you so.
Brittany!
Yes, Justin?
I need to breathe some of the time, you know.
You are no fun.
What? It's a little warm.
You got a point. Okay, break.
Wow.
Wow.
We're married.
Totally.
Did we do the right thing?
No idea.
Keeping with the classics moniker now, we move on to adaptations, those wonderful attempts to bring to life stories written from afar. Early on, there was the live-to-broadcast version of The Canterville Ghost, as well as the previously noted A Christmas Carol. But it shouldn't be a surprise to fans of the theater that our main body of adaptations comes from a series that focused on them exclusively. I'm talking about the classic horror collection, Mystery on the Air. For an entire season, we took a break from stories of the Northland and looked to the works of Poe, Lovecraft, and others for some of the most technically challenging and rewarding plays we ever produced. I'm talking about the Whippoorwills of the Dunwich Horror and the rethinking of the Monkey's Paw as a modern internet fable. Comedy even found its way into the series with a rather light-hearted version of The Telltale Heart, but few who listened would deny that one of the best episodes of the series was its first, an adaptation of the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Music of Eric Zahn.
The cold put me on edge, but I couldn't stop listening to Eric pile notes on top one another. The music sounded angry, but Eric's eyes were lifeless and glazed
Moved from
over.
the Depression era of the original story to a post-war setting, the music of Eric Zahn tells the tale of a violinist who knows the strange, atonal sounds that keep the fabric of reality from being ripped apart by unseen forces. Only in our version, Eric Zahn works for a failing radio network in a rapidly changing post-war America.
Off of a solid surface. Eric played and played, and then played on. And as I listened, I became overcome with feelings I hadn't expected. I was overcome with feelings of horror. I looked at the men around the room. Pete was in his tiny isolation booth, staring at Eric, a look of revulsion on his face. Howard had turned away. He had a flask in his hand and was drawing from it greedily. I did not know if Howard was disgusted with the music or with me for having caused this abomination. But we knew, somehow, all of us knew, that this was wrong, that we should not be hearing this, that this music should not even exist. It was then that I turned back toward Eric and saw that the studio glass, the huge 5x10 sheet that protected the studio from the noise of the outside, had grown cloudy and dark. It was almost opaque now. And then I realized there were things moving in the glass. There were shapes flowing in gentle circles, and there were tiny pinpoints of light twinkling on and off. And I could hear them, like low, angry rumbles in the distance. It was like I was looking through a telescope at some distant, cold, unholy corner of space. that rumbled and belched its indifference out into the universe as it flowed ever outward. And Eric played on and on. Soon I could not see him through the glass. I could only see the stars and the planets, if that's what they were. I reached over and put my hand on Howard's shoulder. He wouldn't look at me. He faced away from the glass and shook his head vigorously like a frightened little child. My breath was short. My heartbeat hammered in my ears. Knowing this was all my fault, that I had to do something about it, I opened my mouth to order Harry to stop the recording, but before I could, the control room window shattered.
We're getting down to it now, down to number 2. And for the penultimate spot in our 20th anniversary countdown, it seemed appropriate to turn our attention to the main reason the IBRT exists, to tell the Northland stories to the world. So why not focus on which of our 350 plays is the most Northland, the most northern Minnesota, the most cold weather, most remote location, nice people, the most true to its place. We've had local legends in The Mermaid and animated statues in Tall Bears, border crossing trouble in Have You Anything to Declare and Love Lines, and plenty of shorts telling tales of the problems only we Northlanders can understand, like the self-explanatory Snow on the 4th of July, or the pain of a 4-hour bus ride for school activities in Another Bus. For the title Most Northland, however, we turn to a series with a mix of history and mystery, Rum Runner Sue.
Mary?
Yeah?
Are you sure Ben didn't keep any business records?
Set in Prohibition America, Sue is a speakeasy owner who constantly finds herself embroiled in mystery. She and her sidekick Mary and her on-again, off-again love interest, Sheriff Beau, unravel the spider's web of crime that plagued this region a century ago during America's great social experiment.
Yes, it is.
Hey.
What is it?
You ever read any Sherlock Holmes?
Who's he?
Never mind, I just thought of an old trick I saw in a movie once. You get a tear-off notepad like this one. Sometimes you can figure out what the last note said.
What do you mean, the last note?
The last note, the one that was torn off and taken away.
How are you going to do that?
Observe, Watson. Take a pencil and rub.
Hey, the words are showing up.
Mm-hmm. That Ben's handwriting?
Sure. He always had beautiful penmanship.
And there. Done.
Hey.
Yeah.
Do you think...
Yes, I do.
And will the sheriff?
Pretty sure, yes.
Finally, something's going my way.
Get down!
That was a gunshot!
I know, someone's outside.
I hate guns. They're so loud. What do we do?
Did Ben keep a gun?
He didn't like them in the house. He used to keep 2 or 3 in his car. Maybe we can get to them?
Seems unlikely. We have to get out of here.
Hey!
What is it?
Ben had this place built special. There's a tunnel in the cellar. It'll take us out into the woods.
God bless bootleggers. Come on.
Well, we've arrived. We've arrived at the top of the mountain, the far side of the lake, and the end of the trail. And as we celebrate 20 years of the Icebox Radio Theater, it seemed fitting to end this countdown with the most significant play in theater history. The play that meant the most, that moved us forward the most, that made the biggest difference. There is, of course, the first one, The Cabin Next Door, as well as Have You Anything to Declare, which has the distinction of being the first play presented both on the Bacchus stage and the stage of the Salty Jester. There are the award winners, or at least nominees, Aurora Borealis and The Smell of Pines Darkly. And don't forget the series listeners request more than any other, The Scoop Sisters. But in terms of impact, no play won a bigger award or added more audience than the scary tale of a man, a cat, a monster, and a storm, The Thing on the Ice.
Ice fishing's not what you'd call fishing so much. It's
a Northland fisherman heads to the fish shack, ignoring the weather. The storm of the century bears down upon him, and then a strange creature out of a nightmare appears in the window, as does the fisherman's salvation in the most unlikely of forms. It earned us a Silver Ogle Award and the friendship and support of many a listener who found the IBRT after catching Thing on the Ice on one of its many reposts on other podcasts. It is, quite simply, the most significant play we've ever done.
What are you looking at then?
After a moment, it took its paws off the window, sat down on the box, and turned to look at me. It didn't have any kind of expression on its face, just a sort of blank, common stare a cat gets. Then it glanced back over its shoulder at the window.
Oh, what is it? That something out there? Is there... You better not be scaring me, cat. I'm tired enough. I don't need...
Good God. Good God in heaven.
A face. There was a face at the window. I couldn't look away. I couldn't stand to look at it. It was what? It was a man's face? But it weren't a man. The forehead was all wrong, and the eyes were all wrong, and the mouth... Oh, God, the mouth. While I backed away staring at it, it smiled at me. Smiled like it knew I was afraid of it, and it liked that. And when it smiled, I could see the teeth, 2 solid rows of tiny needle points, dozens and dozens of tiny teeth. Not like a cat's, not like a predator's, but like, I don't know, like something from another world, like a thing that didn't belong here. And when it smiled at me, I felt my insides clench, and I wanted to run away. I was like a caveman looking at a tiger, not thinking, not reasoning, just wanting to run. I would have too. I would have run into those walls until they tipped over, till I broke my neck or got the door open. Running outside into the night with that thing, which I had the idea was exactly what it wanted. I would have gone crazy, except I happened to glance down. The cat, who was facing the door, all business again, bottle brush tail, ears back and growling, looking up at the window, and the thing wasn't there, but it was knocking again. Well, that's it. 20 years, plays, skits, and series in the triple digits, from CDs and tapes to broadcast and podcast. Icebox Radio Theater has covered a lot of ground. If there's any shows we've left out or overplayed, leave your opinions in the comments below. And as always, keep listening.